The military parade is about to start. It's 5:37 now. The parade starts at 6:30. There's still plenty of spots up front, and then if you turn around, you can see that it's completely empty over there. A little bit of a sparse crowd.
Donald Trump is the most unqualified president this country has ever had. The last human being on this planet who deserves a parade for anything.
We don't do that in America. Americans don't have military parades with missile launchers and tanks and aircraft.
How dare he take our country and use it for his personal gain? I would say, fuck you.
Make it all about him and celebrate him. It's flat out un-American.
That's what dictators do, and this is not a dictatorship.
Shit crazy. It's bad shit crazy. Bad shit crazy.
If you want to serve the military, if you want to show them dignity, give them health care, give them housing.
Not only is it wrong, it's just plain a waste of money.
Administration is the regime. It's not an administration. It's a regime.
And please try to find somebody that's qualified.
Yeah, leave
and not
America
a total
alone.
fucking lunatic.
Peacefully boycott the Trump parade.
You could actually see the light leave his eyes during his birthday parade. It was the moment he knew that he was completely cooked. Was clearly having a horrible time and looked so despondent the whole time because he was looking out over the crowd and there literally wasn't one. He spent $48 million on a parade for himself and nobody showed up. The tourists that came looked confused and there was no music playing. Even Hegseth and Marco Rubio sitting next to him looked completely bored the entire.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to dive deep into one of the most surreal and telling moments in the United States of American politics. Of course, Donald Trump's military birthday parade that coincided with his 79th birthday and the US Army's 205th anniversary. Now, this event was meant to be a show of strength, a spectacle, but what actually happened? Let us unpack it here. So first, the headline. This parade cost taxpayers up to $45 million US. That's not jump change. For that amount, the government could have repaired roads, funded local schools, or supported military services members directly. But what they did was what it was instead a day in Washington that felt more theoretical than triumphant. Reports showed only partially filled stands, sparse crowds, and folks quietly drifting off early. Some soldiers were reportedly even out of step, leading a few to whisper there may have been silent protests or poor coordination. Meanwhile, just miles away and across the nation, millions participated in No Kings protest. Estimates range from 4 to 6 million people in over 2,100 cities. One analyst even call it possibly the largest single-day protest in US history. The contrast could have been sharper. So, what's going on here? Why such disparity in turnout and maybe in spirit? So, there is something that I'm seeing, and let me unpack it. Number one, a spectacle with a holocaust. Trump wanted a Bastille Day style display of military power, complete with tanks, flyovers, fireworks, but many observers called it theoretical, almost authoritarian. Number two, cold response from the public. The Times even described muted enthusiasm and underwhelming performance, partly blamed on rain, but also on national fatigue. Even the Wall Street Journal admitted the crowd was sparse. Number three is the polar opposite energy in the streets. The No Kings movement was energized, broad-based and decentralized, as well as being inclusive, rallying against perceived authoritarianism. It clearly resonated across demographic and geographic lines. Number four is the former MAGA voices wavering. Some reports suggest even ex-Trump supporters have this they have a growing tired frustration with broken promises, heavy-handed rhetoric, and also the newly potential policies, and then there is money versus message. Spending tens of millions of taxpayers' dollars for a spectacle that drew 40,000 people at best, and likely for less, look stone deaf when set against everyday American struggles. So here is what the parade meant to project like unity and strength, but underscored a deeper fracture. And the footage of empty tanks, quickening, and early departures spoke volume, of course. And is it merely poor planning, or is it a symbol of declining public support? Well, I will tell you all this after we have watched these clips, and then I'll be back to finish up this.
Okay, this wins the internet. Because the MAGA do not understand just how bad this was. Like empty bleachers and lackluster performance by the crowd and the army purposefully screwing up their marching. I mean, those things, whatever. This was incredibly terrible optics for the United States. Because like I said, Trump wanted this in order to show a display of power of the United States and of his power. And he wanted it to look like this big, like, North Korea or China kind of parade. As I showed in my videos over the last 24 hours, media around the globe is making fun of it. Russian state TV was openly laughing at Trump and his parade, showing what he expected from what other countries do, and the lackluster crap that he did. Meanwhile, MAGA for years has been so pro-Russia, and now Russia's making fun of us. It's like, I wonder how they're trying to placate that in their brain. Our adversaries are making fun of us, as well as our allies. Chinese state media said America's halo is fading as they mocked not only the stupid parade, but also the millions of people who were protesting, rightfully pointing out that the United States government has lost the confidence of the people, and the United States is losing its stance of power around the world. But yet Trump and right-wing talking heads get out there and they're trying to be like, there were hundreds of thousands of people there. Kind of like Sean Spicer at his first inauguration. This was the largest crowd to ever witness this ever. Cue the clip of the empty fields. And when I say this parade was an embarrassment, it was not just an embarrassment to watch and an embarrassment seeing Trump in the crowd falling asleep and looking like he was a confused patient at a mental home, but it was an international embarrassment that showed the rest of the world just how weak we currently are. Especially under Trump and his childish toddler wannabe dictator mentality. Because while he sits there and tries to make decrees from his throne, everybody else is just laughing at him as he fails and chickens out. He's not a strong leader. Much like everything else he's done in his entire life, everything he does under his presidency is once again turning to shit. And he's embarrassing the fuck out of our country.
This is how I know that I truly am an empath, because tell me why. I just saw a video posted by Gavin Newsom, and it was an edit of Trump at his sad, pathetic birthday party looking completely, utterly miserable, sitting next to Melania. But the music that they put over it was All Too Well by Taylor Swift, specifically the lyrics. He said, it's supposed to be fun turning 21, and then it wrote, it's supposed to be fun turning 79, and then it showed him looking like he was about to cry. And tell me why I felt bad! I felt bad! It made me sad for him. No, this can't be. This can't be. I slapped myself out of it. No, I cannot feel bad for this man. Why do I feel bad? Why did I feel bad, seeing no one there? And he, looks like he's gonna cry. And I felt bad that he's, this poor old man that no one showed up to his birthday. No! I need to sit with myself for a minute. I need to sit with myself. No, Emily, we can't feel bad. We can't feel bad. We have to feel glad. Okay, let's just remember the horrible thing. This is the same man, the man who looks very sad on his birthday. These are all the horrible things that he has done. He's a rapist. He's racist. Yes, I know. I just, for some reason, my brain won't allow me to see that this is the same person because he just looked so utterly pathetic. No. Oh, he's evil. He's so evil and just greedy and a liar and has done terrible things that hurt millions and millions of people. He has blood on his hands. Come on, Emily, come on. I did not ask to be this way, okay? And people are like, I'm an empath. No, I always knew that I felt things very deeply and really felt for people, but today was a slap in the face because you're telling me that I felt bad for him? That crosses the line. I will be bringing this up in therapy this week. This is just too upsetting.
Barely 10,000 people showed up to Donald Trump's birthday parade in D.C. today. And MAGA is already making the excuse that it was because it was raining. Meanwhile, over 10 million people around the country showed up to the No Kings protest today. And in many of those cities, it was pouring rain, including where I was, and no one left. And MAGA always talks about how they're so tough and macho, but they can't handle a little rain. Y'all are sad. And behind the scenes, apparently Donald Trump is having absolute meltdowns about how little his crowd was today. Because we all know that he cares more about crowd sizes than anything. In some way, somehow, he'll come out and blame Joe Biden for this. But Donald, America's just tired of you. There were even people protesting today that voted for you 8 months ago. And what was accomplished today completely overshadowed Donald Trump's little birthday parade. And people say protests don't do anything. Yeah, okay.
There are rumors flying around that the U.S. military marched a little sloppily today on purpose as a quiet protest against the president. And look, I can't confirm that, but I can confirm whatever that was today was not exactly the stuff of propaganda legend. Like if North Korea saw that parade, they'd be like, oh, they're in their experimental era. Look, we love our military, truly. This isn't about the men and women in uniform. It's about the man who made this whole thing feel like a personal quinceañera. A $48 million flex for a dude who wanted cake and tanks at the same time. And we feel for our troops because we know they didn't sign up for this. They signed up to defend our country, not to slow walk in 92-degree heat behind a guy who was literally carrying a drone above his head. Not flying it, carrying it. Like it was the Olympic torch or a Costco return. And the tanks? Oh my God. You could hear them squeaking down the street in almost total silence. No crowd noise, just awkward little rubbery screeches like somebody rolling a shopping cart full of bricks. I legit had to look away. I cringed so hard, my spine locked up. But again, to the Army, happy 250th. You deserve better than being props in somebody's birthday tantrum. Your service means everything to us. This parade, not so much. To the rest of the world watching, no, that wasn't our full military might on display. That was a very expensive cry for attention.
TikTok family, what's good? So listen, I'm pulling into this coffee shop and I'm about to do some writing, but I just want to share something really quick, an observation that I had when I was watching that BS parade that Trump put on this past weekend. I actually went away a little encouraged. Hear me out. Here's why. Now, I never served in the military. A lot of people ask me if I did. I never did. I never served. My father served. And so I came up in a military household, you know, from birth to 18. That's how I grew up on military bases. And one thing, even if you have not served, you'll notice, if you've been around military personnel as much as I have, is you notice when they're marching in step. You notice it. I watched my father march growing up. I had seen his friends and people just marching. And when soldiers march in step, it's very uniform, it's very crisp, it's very sharp, it's very tight. When you look at the soldiers that were marching, they were not marching in step. They were not crisp, they were not sharp, and they were not tight. And so when I saw that, I was like, normal soldiers would get cursed out when my dad was serving if they marched like these guys were marching. So I said, that can only mean one thing. These guys are protesting. And when I went and looked to see if my suspicions were correct, I found that they were correct. A lot of the soldiers that were there were reporting to their parents and loved ones, we did not march in step because we were protesting and we hated the fact that we had to be there. So to those soldiers that did that, shout out to you by letting us, the American people, know that you are not with this bullshit that Trump is doing. Shout out to you guys.
So Donald Trump held his big, beautiful military birthday bash on Saturday. And I love watching the videos of the tanks going by. And behind the tanks, you see the bleachers, and no one's in the bleachers. No one's there. No one fucking showed up to this fucking G.I. Joe cosplay shit show. How humiliating. How embarrassing. You know, not for nothing, but on my fucking birthday, I want to spend it with friends and family, not sitting in the fucking rain, looking at empty bleachers with a bunch of fucking strangers while I stroke my micro dick because I'm suffering from crippling insecurities and I'm a 5-time draft dodging coward who needs to dress up and play army in order to feel like a real man? No, that's not me. Anyway, it was a beautiful thing to watch, but I can't stand the way this guy uses and abuses and exploits our military. We respect and we admire the military on that day or any day, but we don't respect or admire Donald Trump and his bullshit, what he tried to do. Disgusting. It's disgusting how he exploits the military for his personal gain. Anyway, check out my podcast, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy, wherever you get your podcasts, and check out my writing at substack.com/@AndyOstroy.
So let me get this straight. This administration came through the door talking about how they wanted to get the budget back under control because us as Americans have been spending uncontrollably to the point where we are in a bind. And they said the best way to do that was by cutting the workforce. So they cut a whole lot of people's jobs. They cut a lot of people's insurance. They cut a lot of aid off to like countries where people needed that aid to stay alive. Like let that sink in. And they did that all in the name of saving money on our budget, right? But today we wake up and the president has decided to spend $45 million of taxpayers' money on a parade to celebrate his birthday and the military's birthday at the same time. Like if that makes any sense in even saying that, like if there's any sense to be found in that. That's what he said that he was doing, but he spent $45 million to do it. And I feel like that's crazy because 1, it got rained out. 2, nobody showed up. And 3, he was on the sidelines, like sitting there with egg on his face because all of this shit is ridiculous. And I feel that if anybody else, any other president had done this shit, they wouldn't be able to find a job at Walmart nor the local CVS because us as Americans would have rejected him. But it's amazing that this man has gotten this far. You got to take in mind, they came in the door talking about how they wanted to save money on the budget and how they were making cuts right and left. And then they started spending money on ridiculously stupid shit. Like you got to take in mind, they upped our military spending budget and we didn't even need the military to be like that. Like I guess that invested in. We had already as a country been investing in our military. That's just what we do. But he thought it was a good idea to cut all of the money that went to things that were actually needed just to bolster the military. Like you got to take in mind, this man doesn't know what the fuck he is doing. And we are sitting here watching it. But I feel like, watching like him have this parade today and seeing all of the, No Kings protests that were going on and seeing how us as Americans, we are uniting against like his regime and the shit that he's trying to push out. Seeing that made me feel so American that it made me think in my mind that, I think America, we are coming to the overall consensus that he is full of bullshit and like we need to get him out. And this, like seeing these No King protests pop up really let us know that, we all are arriving on the same page because, I've said this before, that the things that he's doing, it goes beyond politics. Like it goes beyond like politics. It's a battle of morality because, in one breath you can say, hey man, I don't want all these illegal people in my country. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if these people are already over there and they have kids and those kids are now citizens and you want to send the parents back, home, what life does that make for the child? Like you got to take in mind, it's no longer just politics. It's morality. Like, and if you're okay with, sending a child, I guess sending a child to live in a country away from their family because you deported their parents, then I feel like you're a fucked up individual. Like you personally are a terrible fucking person and your morals are fucked up. So it wouldn't surprise me that you would align yourself with somebody like him. But I feel like, the world is starting to wake up and people are starting to realize that, the morality of it, that they're starting to realize, what really matters. And what really matters is that we don't break up families, you know what I mean? And it's not like, you know, even using that as a crutch, but we don't break up families. Families, if they're over here and they're together and they have made it, you know what I mean, and one of them is a citizen or they're in the process of working it out, let that legislation play out. And if they get, you know, certified to be over here, they get certified. And if they don't, then, you know, you have the access to deport them. But until those things are, I guess, processed and they're given that chance to get these things done, I feel like everything that this man is doing is just filled out of hate. So seeing everything, you know, like come together with the No Kings protest today, that really made me feel like an American. And it made me feel like we really are, you know, getting somewhere. So y'all let me know what y'all think. This video went a little longer than expected, but, you know, like I said, I'm really happy to see us uniting against something that, you know, needs to be, you know, put out of office, because, like, until it's out of office, there is nothing that we really can, you know, do as a country. And I mean, like, far as growing, like truly growing. We can't grow long as that tumor is in the White House. So
I see tons of posts about that freaking parade the other day and the military. This is supposed to be this Trump parade, right? Listen, coming from someone who grew up on military bases and coming from someone who used to watch them march, okay? They don't march like that, okay? When I saw it, I was like, what are they doing? And I was like, they don't want to be there. They're not marching. Our soldiers don't look like that. Our soldiers do not look like that. Okay? They don't look like that. They didn't want to be there. That's not something they wanted to do. They were basically walking. They weren't in step. Nothing. They didn't want to be there. So I applaud them for not wanting to be there, because that was a whole waste of time. But for anybody wondering, is that how the United States military marches? Absolutely not. No, they do not. They don't march like that. Not even close. I mean, they are hold down together. They don't march like that. For anyone who is not familiar with living on base, no, they have it together. That thing is tight. Okay? It's real tight. I don't know what that was. Yes, I do. It was a protest. Yeah, okay. So if we got to be out here, Trumper, then we just going to walk. That's what it was.
All right, you've seen the footage, you've heard the numbers. Now let us dig deeper and let me give you the statistics. Number one, the cost of conjugal. First, let's talk about dollars. Official estimates range from $14 million to $45 million. For perspective, that kind of money could have done this. Number one, build or repair dozens of community centers, fund scholarships or military veteran services, address emergency infrastructure repairs. But did Trump's team stack up these alternatives? Of course not. Taxpayers deserve accountability. This is not about the left versus the right, but it's about priorities. Like, how are we setting our priorities as a nation? If you're going to brandish military might, make sure people show up or be prepared for, be prepared for backlash. And authoritarian optics or patriotic edition. Listen up. Trump has admired France's Bastille style display since 2017. The intent was unmistakable, a theater of military power, but to some it echoed authoritarian regimes more than democratic celebration. Many of us, I think you too have seen it, we saw robots, dogs, tanks, synchronized flyover, all reminiscent of military pageantry, not typically associated with the American tradition. And when questioned, was this government celebration or a campaign rally in military colors? The lack of enthusiasm hinted that many, including veterans, felt uneasy. Then there is a silent chorus of discontent. And you see, even within the military itself, cohesion may have frayed. And some observers have suggested that soldiers marched offbeat, possible a sign of silent protest. While this could be chalked up to lack of rehearsal, the symbolism is powerful, especially when set against the No King's crown. Now, when you talk about the No Kings movement, what does it really mean? This was not just a protest. It was a statement spanning thousands of cities. Over 4 million people voiced a unified message: resistance to autocracy. Organizers described this as a non-partisan, rooted in patriotism, framing Trump not as a leader, but as a would-be king. And talk about the decentralized structure, avoided celebrity-driven polarization instead of focusing on shared values. So, could it be the most impactful mobilization since the Women's March? At estimated figures of up to 6 million, it very well may be. When we look at the bigger picture, like the national division, it's tempting to see one event as isolated. But here's the truth. This was not just a snapshot of America in extreme polarization. You had policy disagreements on immigration and trade. You had real fears voiced from deportation to media manipulation. The No Kings protests were just against Trump. They were against what he represents, a future with less democratic guardrails. And in the streets, people carried homemade signs. In online forums, heated debates flared. On cable news, pundits clashed. All converged on that day to paint a country not united in spirit or message. And then, what could be the role of the former supporters, like ex-Trump MAGA supporters? Even some MAGA-aligned individuals reportedly expressed frustrations, saying they feel lied to and disengaged. That's huge. A political base dropping off opens up questions. Who holds the fringe if the center shifts? Can narrative alone re-engage people who feel betrayed? And when we look at it from a broader perspective of leadership and legacy, what does it mean? Trump has pushed boundaries before, but this parade and the national reaction could define his second administration legacy. Success sometimes requires energy and turnout, and instead, what we saw was blacks in stands and surging street protests. Symbolic power without substance rings hollow. Like, as Americans, they deserve more than just showmanship. They deserve integrity. They deserve impact and unity. So as I come to an end of this video, like, this was not merely a parade, it was a mirror. Like, one side showed an emblem of might and the other reflected the voice of millions who questioned it. The former president, John F. Kennedy, once said, ask not what your country can do, but what you can do for your country. On June 14th, Americans asked a different questions. What kind of America is this? I don't know what you think, but you know what? Like, was Trump's parade a bold celebration of military strength, or was it a miscalculated political stunt that energized resistance instead of supporters? I don't know what you think about this, but drop a comment, hit a like, and then tell me what you feel about this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, ring that bell so that every time I post a new video, you'll be the first person to get notified about it. But right about now, let me see you in my next video. Peace out.